Welcome to episode 458. Have you ever wished a symptom would simply disappear? Whether it's bloating, fatigue, headaches, or restless sleep, our first instinct is often to silence the discomfort. But what if those symptoms are not the problem? What if they're messages? In this episode, we'll explore how Ayurveda teaches us to see symptoms not as enemies to fight, but as invitations to listen more deeply to the wisdom of the body. Welcome to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm your host, Colette. And if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend starting with the first few episodes where I introduce the foundations of Ayurveda and the doshas. To learn more, work with me, or explore my offerings, you can visit elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And for podcast updates, join me on Instagram at Elements of Ayurveda Podcast. And before we begin, just a quick note to say that this podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. It's not intended as medical advice. Now let's dive into this episode. Hey there, and welcome back to the podcast. So, how often have you wished a symptom would simply disappear? Perhaps you found yourself saying, I just want this bloating to stop. Or I wish I had more energy. Or maybe it's, why do I always wake up tired? Or when will these headaches go away? It's completely understandable. When something feels uncomfortable, our first instinct is usually to make it stop. We reach for a painkiller, another coffee, an antacid, a sleeping tablet, a stronger skincare routine, or a restrictive diet. We're taught to quiet symptoms as quickly as possible so we can get back to our busy lives. But what if our symptoms are not interruptions? What if they're messages? In this episode, I'd like to offer a different perspective. What if your body has been trying to communicate with you all along? Most of us have been conditioned to think of symptoms as problems to eliminate. If something hurts, stop the pain. If you're tired, push through. If you're anxious, distract yourself. If your digestion is uncomfortable, find something that makes it disappear quickly. And there's nothing wrong with seeking relief. Pain deserves compassion. But sometimes we become so focused on silencing the messenger that we never hear the message. Ayurveda teaches us to become curious before we become critical. It teaches us to ask, what is my body trying to communicate? Long before disease develops, the body whispers. Sometimes those whispers are subtle, a little less energy than usual, feeling heavy after meals, dry skin, restless sleep, needing more caffeine, craving sugar every afternoon, a shorter temper, feeling foggy, bloating after certain foods. And many of us dismiss these signals because they don't seem serious enough. We tell ourselves, I'm just getting older. I'm just stressed. I'm in perimenopause. Everyone feels like this. But Ayurveda teaches that imbalance doesn't usually appear overnight. It develops gradually. The body begins communicating long before it begins shouting. As I record this episode in August, those of us in the Northern Hemisphere are often carrying the accumulated heat of summer. Even if you have enjoyed the sunshine, your body may be showing signs that pitta has begun to build. Perhaps you're feeling more irritable or impatient than usual. Your skin is more sensitive. You're experiencing heartburn, loose stools, headaches, or simply feeling overheated. These are not random inconveniences. They may be your body's way of saying, I've had enough heat. Meanwhile, for those of you listening in the Southern Hemisphere, late winter often brings a different conversation. The cold, damp qualities of the season can encourage kapha to accumulate. You might notice heavier digestion, congestion, sluggishness, low motivation, or a desire to stay curled up under a blanket. Of course, our experience also depends on the climate where we live. If your winter is especially cold, dry, or windy, you may notice more vata qualities too, such as dry skin, constipation, bloating, gas, restlessness, or disturbed sleep. Ayurveda always invites us to observe what's happening in our own environment, rather than assuming one season feels the same everywhere. And again, these are not signs that your body is failing. They're signals inviting you to make small adjustments that help you to stay in balance with the season. One of the beautiful things about Ayurveda is that it teaches us to expect these seasonal shifts. Rather than being surprised by them or frustrated with our bodies, we learn to recognize them as part of nature's rhythm. Instead of seeing symptoms as isolated problems, Ayurveda sees patterns. Every sensation carries information. Every symptom has a story. And instead of labeling something as good or bad, Ayurveda simply asks, what is increasing? What is decreasing? And what is out of balance? It's a compassionate system rather than a judgmental one. You're not broken. Your body is adapting. It's trying to restore balance. Let's take fatigue, for example. Many people assume they're simply tired because life is busy. And sometimes that's true. But fatigue can also be a sign that your digestive fire is not transforming food into usable energy efficiently. Fatigue might be telling you that your nervous system has been working overtime, that you've been giving more than you have been replenishing, or perhaps you've simply been living at a pace that your body can no longer sustain, that your daily rhythm no longer matches what your body needs. The tiredness is not necessarily the problem, it's information. The same is true with bloating. So often people tell me I just seem bloated all the time, and it's almost as if it's become part of their identity. Yet Ayurveda sees bloating as communication. Perhaps digestion is struggling, or meals are too rushed, or the previous meal has not been fully digested before the next one arrives. Or maybe stress is affecting digestion. The bloating is not random. It's the body's way of saying, something here needs your attention. Even pain can be viewed differently. Of course, pain can be serious and should always be investigated when necessary. But pain itself is not trying to punish us. It's trying to protect us. It's asking us to pay attention, to slow down, to rest, change direction. The body is incredibly intelligent. Its signals exist for a reason. But the challenge is that modern life rewards us for ignoring our bodies. We're praised for pushing through exhaustion, for working while sick, for skipping meals, for sleeping less, for always being productive. Listening to our body can almost feel rebellious. It's asking us to slow down, to notice, to pause before reacting. And those pauses are often where healing begins. Perhaps one of Ayurveda's greatest gifts is that it teaches us to become curious. Instead of becoming frustrated with every symptom, get curious and ask, what is this teaching me? Of course, not every symptom has an immediate answer. Sometimes it takes time, observation, and patience. But approaching the body with curiosity rather than fear changes the relationship entirely. Instead of fighting ourselves, we begin working with ourselves. When we begin listening to these signals, Ayurveda naturally starts asking two important questions. How strong is the digestive fire that's transforming everything we take in? And not only food, but also experiences, emotions, and sensory impressions. And the other question is anything being left behind that has not been fully processed or transformed? These questions become the foundation for understanding why symptoms arise in the first place. And rather than chasing individual symptoms, Ayurveda looks beneath the surface to support the body's innate intelligence and restore balance from the inside out. As you move through the coming week, take notice of your body a little differently. Pay attention if you feel tired or if your digestion changes, if your energy shifts throughout the day. Pay attention simply with curiosity, because awareness is often the first step toward healing. And as I finish up this episode, I'd like to leave you with one question. Before we try to silence symptoms, what if we became curious about them? Because your body is not working against you. It's communicating with you. And perhaps the greatest act of self-care is not learning how to ignore these messages. It's learning how to listen. And when we begin listening, we often discover our body has been quietly guiding us towards balance all along. So there you go, something to think about and some great wisdom from Ayurveda. And thank you so much for listening today. And if this episode resonates with you and you think a friend or family member would appreciate this Ayurvedic wisdom, it would be great if you could share it with them and we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. And if you would like personalized support on your journey with Ayurveda, check out my online offerings on my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. And also a heads up that the next discounted group digestive reset cleanse will be starting October 9th. And if you have any questions before booking any of my services, take advantage of my free 15-minute services inquiry call, and we can discuss which of my services best suits your needs. And please don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast so the new episodes automatically download for you. And if you'd like to leave a rating or review, I would really appreciate that. I'd also love to connect with you on social media. If you haven't already done so, my Instagram account is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast, and on Facebook, it's Elements Healing and Wellbeing. And I'll put a link to those in the show notes. Until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.